Hey guys, and welcome to a very exciting video. No matter which video editing or visual effects compositing software you're using, whether you're on Windows or on Mac, you can always use more free plugins. The reason I'm so excited is because FX Home, the company that produces hit film, has just released Ignite Express 2017. Ignite Express 2017 is like the little brother to Ignite Pro, which is the fully featured plugin pack that comes with HitFilm Pro. Ignite Express 2017 is an absolutely free plugin pack. You can download it for free. I'm going to put a link down in the description of the video. It contains over 80 really cool visual effects for color grading, distortion, lens flare, portals, all sorts of other cool things. And all of those effects will work in Adobe After Effects, Premiere Pro, Final Cut, in Motion, in DaVinci Resolve, Sony Vegas, Media Composer, Nuke, and I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a few others. Now I want to take you through what's included in Ignite Express 2017 and show you some of the cool effects and what you can do with them. Welcome to Adobe After Effects. Obviously, Ignite Express 2017 will work with a whole range of different software packages. I'm primarily an After Effects and Premiere Pro user, and again, one of the reasons I really like the Ignite plugins from FX Home is that I can use all of the cool effects from HitFilm directly in my personal software of choice. These plugins should work no matter which software you're using. Once you've installed the Ignite Express 2017 pack in Adobe After Effects, in your Effects and Presets panel, you will find a whole bunch of folders for all of the Ignite effects. In here, you will find a huge amount of different effects for working with 360 video, a whole bunch of different blurs, color correction and color grading, cool distortion effects. There's some grunge effects and gradients and fills. You can generate clouds and lightning and light sorts, which we're going to get to in a little bit. Then there's effects for keying, for generating light flares, enhancing mattes, particles and simulation. In here you will find things like rain and lightning. Furthermore, you'll find things for stylizing things or temporal effects, video cleanups or warping things. There's a huge amount of effects in here, and obviously in this video I'm only going to go over a few of them just because otherwise we're going to be here absolutely forever. So I have a composition here with a short clip that I took on a St. Kilda beach down here in Melbourne, and let's say this scene is a little bit too happy for us. So let's come into the Ignite effects, and under particle and simulation you will find the rain on glass effect. I actually really like this one. This one looks pretty cool, so let's simply grab it and drag it on top of our footage. And if we now play this back, it looks like it's raining on the lens. Let me quickly disable the audio because again I don't want that to interfere with this tutorial. So this kind of just creates this water on your lens effect, and this is really cool. Obviously you can adjust a whole bunch of different settings for rendering this effect or how many drops and their size and everything else. I'm not going to go through that. Let's just, say this is still too happy for us. So let's turn this whole thing into a night scene. In the Ignite effects, under color grading, you will find the day for night effect. Let's simply drag that onto our footage. And maybe I'll actually bring the rain on glass effect after the day for night conversion. And sure, why not? Let's increase the drops per second and the drop size a little bit so we're making it rain really heavily. Obviously, you probably won't get optimal results with the default settings, so you probably want to go in and tweak them a little bit, but this is actually a pretty good starting point. But it's still too happy, so let's add some lightning into the scene. Let's come down into the Ignite effects, and under particles and simulation you will find lightning and electricity. Now I won't actually apply that to this particular layer. I'm just going to right click, create me a new black solid, and let's call this one lightning. Let's apply the lightning and electricity effect to this particular layer, and let's change the blend mode of this layer over to add. And let's position this lighting somewhere here on the side. Got a lightning strike coming out of these clouds. And because this doesn't really fit in color-wise too well, I'm going to come up into the Ignite effects. Let's come up into the color grading effect, and maybe I'll drop a hue and colorize effect onto my layer. And no, I don't really want it red either. I'm just going to drain some saturation out of it, but maybe we'll leave it on the bluish tint, just very, very low saturation, just so it sits a little bit nicer in the shot. And now we have, well, a bit perpetual lightning striking down, but again, I just want to quickly show you some of the cool stuff you can do with these effects. Let's delete the lightning again, and let's delete the day for night conversion and the rain on glass. And let's go the other way. Let's make this a bit happier. So for one thing, we could, for example, add a bit of a light flare for the sun. You will find these effects in Ignite Express 2017 under lights and flares. So let's expand that. And we could apply this lens flare directly to our base footage. Personally, I don't actually like to do that. I like to actually create a new solid layer. Let's call this one flare, and apply the light flares effect to that layer. Here you can then see what this actually looks like, and the light flares effect contains a pretty large number of different presets for anamorphic effects. There's a whole bunch of cool different light flares that you can apply and set up. Maybe I'm just going to go with this chromatic hoop. Let's change the blend mode of this layer over to add, and let's position this flare right where the sun should be, and we can kind of make this a little bit bigger. It's probably a little bit too intense, to be honest. Maybe we'll just make it a little weaker. Just a little bit of a sun flare happening here. So that looks a whole lot nicer already. And obviously we would have to track this flare to follow the position of our sun as the camera moves. If you don't want to do that, however, you can also just delete the light flares. And let's delete the flare layer as well, because the Ignite Express plugin pack also contains an auto light flares, and this will automatically apply a light flare to the brightest part of your footage. So let's simply drag that onto our beach clip, and yeah, that's probably just a little bit too big. Let's change this over to maybe 35mm prime, and we definitely will have to scale that down a little bit because it looks like the bright area in my footage is a little bit too big, so the sun flare comes out a bit too strong. So let's just give very little. But this will now follow along with your footage, because HitFilm will automatically figure out what the brightest part of your image is, and that is where the flare will be. But enough of this speech already. Let's go a little bit Star Wars and help Walter become a Jedi. Here's a clip that I used for my HitFilm Express 2017 update video, and it's a clip of Walter swinging about the light source and then destroying my studio. One of the really cool effects that you get included in the free Ignite Express 2017 plugins pack is the light sword effect, and you will find that under Ignite Generate. There's 3 different versions of the light sword. There's a 2-point, a 4-point, and a glow only. And in order to use them on your footage, again, I always recommend creating a separate layer. So let's again just create a new solid, and let's call this one light sword. Onto this layer, I'm going to apply the 2-point light sword effect, and here it is with a start and an ending point. And again, let's change the blend mode of this layer over to add. And now we essentially have to animate the start and end point of this light sword to kind of follow along as Walter swings this thing around. For the purpose of this video, I have actually set up 2 little null objects, and if I enable them and kind of go over where I've tracked them, there's 2 null objects. One is at the hilt of the light sword, and the other one is kind of projected forward from the position of the null using the rotation with a little tricky expression. So it's kind of just following along there. And so now all I have to do is attach the base point of this light sword, the starting point here, the hilt, to that hilt null, and the tip to the tip null. Because this is obviously not an After Effects tutorial here, I'm going to do that pretty quickly. I'm just going to select my 2 layers, reveal the position, come to the light sword, open up the hilt and the tip. I'm just going to add an expression to the position, and going to grab the position for my hilt for that. And I'm going to come back in, enable an expression on the position for the tip. And I'm going to again just link that to my tip null position. If you want to know how I did that and how all of that hangs together, let me know. That's going to be an After Effects specific tutorial. But I just want to take you through these effects that you get included for free in this cool plugins pack that you can now download. So now you essentially have the sword following along with the blade as Walter is swinging it about. And one of the cool things about this light sword effect that is included in the Ignites plugin pack is that it enables motion blur. So you can kind of see the movement of the sword and automatically applies motion blur, and actually looks really cool as you swing this around. Obviously, again, you can tweak so many settings around how this looks, how thick it is, what the color is, how much it flickers. There's a huge amount of settings in all of these effects, and I highly recommend just play around with them and have some fun. There's also a large number of really cool styling effects included in the Ignite Express plugins pack. So under stylers, you'll have things like cartooning. So let's drag this one onto the Walter the Jedi layer, and suddenly everything looks like it's a bit hand-drawn. I remember some movies being released with this style, so depending on whether that is your thing, and obviously you can kind of tweak how thick the edges are and what the style looks like and how posterized it is, like how many colors you'll actually end up in your final image. So there's some really cool stuff you can do with this. Let's just delete the cartoon effect again. Another one I also really like is the Find Edges effect, so let's apply that to the Walter the Jedi layer. And what this does is it essentially identifies edges in your footage and it kind of makes them stand out really nice and bright. So this is kind of a cool effect by itself already, but let's delete this one. And one of the things I actually like to use this effect for is to create these glow trails of movement. And the way to do that is actually just duplicate your layer, apply a Find Edges effect to that layer, then set the blend mode to add, so you're adding these bright edges over the top. But now you can simply shift this top layer off a little bit, maybe just like that. I'm also going to lower the opacity, maybe to about 80%, and I'm going to duplicate this layer one more time. And again, it's going to shift it off a little bit. I'm going to create another copy of this glow trail following, and again, let's lower the opacity even more. And so what you end up with is this kind of shadowy trail of movement, of glowing edges following along. There's some really cool stuff you can do. Be creative, like duplicate your footage, apply effects and blend them all together to create some really trippy and cool effects. I really like this particular effect. If you want this motion trail effect a bit easier, again, the Ignite Express plugins pack does actually include an effect that does that out of the box for you, and you'll find that under Ignite Temporal. There's a motion trails effect here, so you can simply drag and drop that onto your footage, and you'll get these kind of trails, this kind of blurred, matrixy style looking effect that you can obviously then tweak on how far you want to follow, like how long this trail you want to be in, what phase it sits in, and there's some really cool stuff you can do with it. So again, there's a huge amount of cool effects in here. Go through them and just have a look and play around with them. I guarantee you'll have fun. Another effect that I'm really happy made it into the free Ignite Express 2017 plugin pack is the portal effect. So let's jump over into a little clip here where I'm just rocking up to my wall and looking a little bit stunned there. And so let's just place a portal right here on the wall. In the effects panel, under Ignite Generate, you will find the Dimension Rift effect. Again, I always recommend applying these two separate layers. So again, let's just create a new solid. Let's call this one Portal. And let's apply the Dimension Rift effect. Here's the portal out of the box, and you may be tempted to change the blend mode over to add, and there's nothing wrong with this. You can do it and kind of just move it on the wall. Personally, I think this actually doesn't look all that great. Personally, for portals and things like that, I actually like to keep them on normal, but then I like to come down here into Ignite Keying and apply a demold effect to the layer. It's a bit more solid. It kind of just knocks out the black as transparent, but it kind of keeps the color of the gate. Obviously, it's not perfect yet. You'd then want to apply a glow and other things to it. So now what I can do, let's come back to the beginning. The cool thing about the portal effect is that it has a whole bunch of different settings that you can tweak to essentially have this portal appear and disappear really interestingly. So for example, in the Dimension Rift effect, you'll have an expansion parameter, and you can animate this to kind of have your portal appear and then disappear, and you can kind of shift the connection from one gate into another, so you can open up your gate and close it. It's actually pretty cool. What I'm going to do as well, I'm just going to quickly apply a glow effect to it. And again, in Ignite Lights and Flares, there's a glow effect that you can use. So let's just apply that to this layer. Bring up the intensity a little bit, and maybe the threshold down a little bit, and the radius up a little bit, just to kind of make this glow. And let's change the blend mode over to add, so you have this really brightly glowing portal. And let's just set a keyframe on the expansion right here to be 1. Let's go back just a little bit and animate this to close the portal again. And now if you play back your footage, you have this portal appear on the wall. Now, you may say, Tobias, I can demold and glow and create all of this stuff in After Effects, but keep in mind, I'm just using After Effects as an example. You can use this in Premiere Pro, and Premiere Pro that has none of these effects. You can't do any of that without any third-party plugins in Premiere Pro. Obviously, these are also third-party plugins, but they're free, so it doesn't really cost you any money. So know that obviously the reason I'm using just Ignite effects here and none of the After Effects inbuilt ones is because I want to show you what you can do just with the effects themselves, so it doesn't matter what software you use to create this stuff. The last thing I want to show you, because it is pretty essential for any visual effects compositing really, is green screening. Here I have a really simple green screen clip that I used for a vlog that I released on my Toby G channel. So again, in order to green screen, the first thing you want to do is kind of cut out only the green screen parts. I'm just going to use a pen tool and draw a mask around this. In Premiere Pro, you can use a garbage mask. On the later one, you have masks as well. I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing in Sony Vegas, Motion, Final Cut, whatever you use. So here, I've now cut that out. And then in Ignite, under the Keying tab, I will find, you can either use a hue and RGB key. Personally, I prefer to use the color difference key. So let's just drop that onto the green screen and maybe let's push up the min a little bit. And there you go. That is a pretty good key for 5 seconds of work. Finally, to really drive this idea that you can use these plugins in any piece of software home, let's quickly jump over into Premiere Pro. And in Premiere Pro, here's the exact same clip. Because I'm on the Creative Cloud version of Premiere Pro, they've now included masks in here. If you don't have them, you can go into your effects and use a garbage matte, but I'm just going to use the pen tool as well. Maybe we'll just zoom out a little bit. And again, let's just draw around the green screen, just like we did in After Effects. Let's zoom back in. Let's come into the effects settings. And under my video effects, I will find all of the same effects that I had available in Adobe After Effects because they got installed as part of the Ignite Express 2017 pack. So now, just like I did in Adobe After Effects, let's simply open up Ignite Keying. Let's drop a color difference key onto our clip. In our effects and control settings, let's come down to the settings for the color difference key and jack up the minimum a little bit. And there you go, green screening complete without ever leaving Adobe Premiere Pro. The very last thing, I know I said that a lot, that I want to show you are some of the distortion effects that you do get included with the Ignite plugin pack. One of the effects in here I really like, maybe just because of the name, is the witness protection effect. So let's drop that on our footage. Let's come down to the settings, select the effect. And let me find the actual point. There it is. So let's drag that onto my face. And this effect makes it really easy to pixelate license plates or people's faces after they're confessing that they've stolen all your candy or whatever. So I kind of really like this effect for that. Let's just delete this again. Let's zoom back out and maybe I'll delete the color difference key as well. And I'm also going to delete the mask just so we're back to where we started. Other cool distortion effects are like insect vision, which you can apply. And you kind of get this insect looking effect. This would work well if you have like a chase, like a first person monster vision cam, kind of chasing someone or going after someone. Or if you're making a fan film about Jeff Goldblum and his inseparability from insects. So there's a whole bunch of cool things in here. Let me delete that again. It's filled with effects, right? And they're all free. They're all there for you to download. So go get yourself the Ignite Express 2017 plugin pack. 80 over effects, all free, no downsides. I hope you enjoyed this video and like a really quick walkthrough of some of the effects. There's so much more in there. Play around with them, have fun. And if you want me to create specific tutorials for certain effects that you see, maybe even with these particular effects, let me know and I can certainly make that happen. And that's all I have for you today. And honestly, that is quite a lot. You're getting 80 plus effects for free to use in any software tool that you like. So I'm not really sure why you're still watching, why not already, clicking that download link that's in the description of the video. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you would like to see some more videos just like this one, please consider subscribing. And as always, if you do have any comments, questions or suggestions, just leave them down in the section below. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.